Welcome back. We are streaming live on our social media platforms. We're at News Central TV. Also use the hashtag Jasiri to be part of the conversations. Now today, we're diving deep into the heart of Lagos State housing, exploring the contentious issues of demolitions, rent policies, and the challenges faced by renters. Joining us in this crucial conversation is the CEO of Rent SmallSmall, Tunde Balogun. Tunde, welcome to Jasiri.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I hope you're not intimidated with all these women.
I think he's used to it.
We're supposed to have like confetti or something. So when you just
It's very cool. All right, this particular conversation that we're going to be talking about is very, very crucial. There is nobody living in Lagos that is not seeing what is happening in recent times. We're looking at the trend of demolitions in Lagos State. And everywhere that you turn, you are seeing houses coming down. And, this is bringing a lot of confusions and concerns around demolitions. Can you talk to us a little about it? Because there are so many conflicting things you hear about these demolitions when it happens. We actually saw a video of people living in there, and these bulldozers are there. So can you talk to us a little about this general thing?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, we all know that housing is a basic human need. Of the plenty basic human needs, the four critical ones are food, shelter, air, and then water, right? Those are the four. So what that tells you is that however we want to look at housing, the cost of land, there must still be the social angle of housing, right? So when you look at demolition and all those things, I mean, the government side, they will give you 1 million reasons. They will tell you 1 million reasons why those demolition needs to happen. And then on the owner side or the occupier's side, they will also tell you, we've occupied this space for this long, 30, 40 years. A recent one that is happening at Jakonde right now, the government plan is to, create a coastal road. Along that road, right? And it's a long stretch road, and there's been conversation about that road for many years now, right? But the people that are occupying those areas or that particular side of Lekki stretch, they were the people that moved from Morocco in the 1990, right? And they claim that it's the government that settled them there, right? Therefore, there shouldn't be any reason why they need to leave that place again, right? But for me, it's to find a balance, right? To find the balance. I think I was in a meeting on Sunday where a church, one of the biggest churches around there, actually is looking to help these people settle. Because a lot of them have been displaced already, right? And the role we are supposed to play is some of our available accommodation to help these people move in. So at least let them first of all have a roof over their head. That is a church playing a social intervention role, which is housing is a basic human need. I think the government also needs to look at it from that place. That someone who is homeless is the person can do and undo. When you have a roof over your head, you can cover your shame. There are so many things you can cover. You might not even have food, but the fact that you have somewhere to keep your head, you can. In fact, when you look at the four basic human needs, even clothing is not mentioned. Because a naked person can eat himself or hide himself, whichever on. So it just tells you. But again, for me, it's all about balance, because I believe that Lagos is a big city, one of the biggest in Africa, and more people are trooping into Lagos on a daily basis. So there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a relocation plan from the government when they are taking this action. I know they pre-inform these people ahead and all of that, but I don't think it's enough.
So, when you talk about this, I've seen some of the videos that the Commissioner, Tokunbo Wahab, has shared, and when you see the aerial drone shots, and you see clearly that houses have been built on drainages and canals, you also I always come back to town planning. These people, some of them will show you some documentation, whether it's real or fake, and you're thinking, even if the documentation is fake, town planning doesn't monitor. Before they finished the construction, before this estate was finished, was there nobody involved? So there's a point to it where we also need to look at government for allowing this indiscriminate building that quote unquote flouts Lagos State master plan. What do you say about that?
So definitely there needs to be clean up within the government. around how we do housing in big cities like even Lagos. And Lagos being a model city to other states in Nigeria, I think the onus is on them to really set the pace. Some of the ways I believe this can be done is using technology. I mean, we're a technology company, right? And I mean, when you think of what we do, even in the rental space, we are in the rental space and this ownership space. And what we did in the rental space was introduce technology to be able to make renting homes in Lagos or in Nigeria more affordable. You know, it's only on our platform right now that you won't have to pay agency on legal fee at all. And then you also can pay monthly. In fact, we are set up for monthly payment of rent, which brings about that affordability, right? But technology allowed this seamlessness, you know, and allows us to remove all the hurdles and cost barrier that typical, you know, the traditional agent will want to do. When you bring it to government, I think the process of land allocation, the process of land purchase, the process of titling, all of that can be digitized in a way that even before you buy a land, you can go search. Yeah. You don't need to pay anybody. You don't need to go to Alausa. You don't need to go anywhere. You can just go online and search and see the mapping, the layout of the land, and be able to say, oh, is this land, is it allocated to something else? Is it supposed to be a canal? Because there are development plans that we've not implemented today, but are set for the future. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know. And you're in a city where everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to get rich quick, right? So you have people that are even conniving and planning with people in the government to allocate and sell this land and give fake approvals and all of that. Even when they are giving these approvals, they are not fake in a way, because they are coming from the right places, right? It's just that by the time government sets in and they need this land for the right use, then they just come in and want to take over the place. They don't care what you've built on it. You might have built a 1 billion. They don't really care. When they need the space, they need the space, right? So I think government, there needs to be a cleanup that needs to happen. Before then, I'm not sure what people can do really to avoid these things. I think because there's just so much that is in the dark that you really don't know. But if you really want to do your due diligence, you can still go all the way and go to Alausa, go to you know town planning office and check all of this.
Do you think that people didn't do that before?
I think a lot of people also don't do it because of desperation. Land is expensive in Lagos. Costs, there are cost implications. There is opportunity factor that, oh, this land that could be worth, let's say, 100 million. Somebody is telling you to pay 50 million for it or 40 million for it. But like, you want to jump at it quickly and you don't really see the hidden side of it, which is, or maybe the government is going to come in tomorrow, or there could be a need for canal to be built there. You just want to take advantage of it quickly. So there's that desperation from people as well.
But as hard as it may sound, isn't there an alternative to demolition? Does it always have to be?
Before you answer, in addition to what Blessing said, it's been something that's been mulling from the moment you started talking. I'm thinking, do you think the government gives the residents enough notice to move out? Because the first thing when you hear that structures are being demolished, that why are structures being demolished with human beings living in the houses while they are demolished?
It's painful.
That is dangerous. I hear the Jakonde demolitions of the properties in Jakonde. Some people have lost their life in the process. So all that, who is accountable for that? Who's responsible for that? So I don't want to believe that the government is working just in the dark, but do you think, in your opinion, do you think more notice should have been given to the residents, or there would have been, like, let's say, tidier way of handling things?
So when we say more notice or time, I mean, that's relative in a way, because you really don't know how far or when the notices were given. You know, nobody really truly comes out. Or maybe there could be a better process to things, right? For me, the way I look at it is just timing, right? When you look at Nigeria today, we are going through high inflation. We're going through currency devaluation. When you have those two things working together in a country, one of the sectors that gets impacted the most is housing, right? Where people need to pay rent, where cost of living has gone up. And then you now add on top of that demolition, whereby you get people, you make them redundant, like homeless, So that makes it even harder, right? And there are so many other things that will now come on top of that. Crime rates can increase as a result of that, desperation and all of that. So what I believe is there needs to be a balance in terms of whether there's adequate timing given to these people. Honestly, I'm not sure.
But on this timing, I beg to differ because
government will tell you.
I am a lawyer. Yeah. I'll never forget when they wanted to take over Oshodi, that middle, when they were going to
renovate and
everything. Yeah. I hate they've been giving them notices for more than 4 or 5 years. But the people there just assumed that because we're here, the government is not going to do anything. Yeah. So sometimes, even though I'm not on the government side, because I know that there is so much, just like you said, I would rather that before you demolish, at least let's have a relocation plan.
Yeah, that's
Look at every day that I pass now, because now when I'm going home, I like to pass Landmark, the Water Corporation Road. Do you know how afraid I've become? Because all the malams, all those shanties that those Hausa men used to be, Kathim, all of you, they are always outside now. You will see people just loitering.
Yeah.
And if you're driving a very nice car, it's something that would bring fear.
You don't want to pass there at night.
You don't want to pass there at night. There's no light.
There's no light.
And now, just as you said, when they just cast them out, and it increases the rate of insecurity.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm looking at where do we actually find this balance? Because if governments are giving adequate notice and people are just bullheaded and say no because we're here, is it that they will still not carry on the construction? Because I really do not know.
But we also need to put into consideration, I mean, in contrast to what she just said, there are also, like Tolu said, the government sometimes say that they give notices, but we don't see any documentation to that effect. So people will say that they were not told, there were not, enough notices, and the government still insists that we did tell you, but there's no, show us the evidence that you maybe sent a letter or something, but there's nothing. So who do we believe? If they gave the notice or if they didn't?
It almost kind of take you to, back in the days where anything needs to happen, you have these people on town crier.
Yeah.
You go around and start.
Now the days
so I honestly, I think, yes, there needs to be more publicity around how this information are passed around, how governments go about it. The truth is that the cost of relocation is also high. So I guess on the government side, they're asking them, so how many people can we relocate, right? But then it raises question around the safety of the state.
Yeah.
The safety of the state. If you want the state to continue to be a safe haven for people, then there are things that you cannot do that will jeopardize all the other efforts that you've put in over all these years, right?
So, on that relocation thing, I think the state will also tell you that if you are already in an illegal structure, the state does not owe you the benefits of relocation.
Yeah.
If you are if you are illegally occupying land that was not allocated for housing or whatever, it's not the state that's going to pay for it.
Yeah, but let's think of it also from a social housing
impact.
But today if we're talking about that social place too, the place that Lola was talking about now, I've passed that place when the shanties were there. And no light. I've always feared
I'm not advocating that.
I'm not advocating for that. We'll come back. We'll go to a break. But let's also think about it. We can't continue to allow those shanties to exist the way they do.
Absolutely.
So Lagos finds itself in a very precarious situation.
Yes.
But that situation is not maybe as precarious as we think, because the state is also trying to be forward-thinking when it comes to rental policies. We're going to go for a quick time out now. We continue this conversation as we look at Lagos State saying it is going to now enforce monthly rent. Let's get into that with Tunde Balogun after this. The CEO of Rent SmallSmall, Tunde Balogun, is with us as we look at housing challenges in Lagos. Now, Tunde, let's move on to this announcement of this rental policy that Lagos State says they want to enforce. They're not just saying implement, enforce. You know the terminology, choice of phrasing. But Lagos State has announced plans to implement monthly rental payments. So how do you see this initiative impacting landlords and tenants? What are the challenges you think we might see in the implementation? And overall, can it work?
I was waiting for that. Can it work?
So it's actually, our company is SmallSmall, so I'm CEO of SmallSmall. So Rent SmallSmall is a product of SmallSmall.
Okay, SmallSmall.
Yeah, even though we started as Rent SmallSmall before we rebranded, as we expanded, right? I mean, we've been in the monthly space for 6 years, going to 7 years. We are one of the pioneers in that space. and it's in the bid to really just make access give people access, because people earn monthly, whether we like it or not. Even in other climes, people earn weekly, and they pay their rent weekly. When I was living in UK, I was paying my rent weekly because some of my So the yearly system, it has
not just
actually,
yearly, multi-yearly.
Multi-yearly or yearly. However we want to look at it, it has actually created a dent in our housing process. And the dent I see is that it creates financial instability, where people you cannot make adequate plan based on your earning, so people live beyond their means. That's one of the things it has promoted. Because you look at it, I'm earning, I want a house, for example, I need a 2-bedroom. You go around, check for different location, 2-bedroom and all of that, right? And by the time they tell you what the cost of a 2-bedroom, you don't really sit down to say, how much does that come to monthly?
Monthly out of what I'm making.
Yeah, how much out of what I'm earning. You only just make that decision based on, okay, I have 2-point-something million somewhere, I have 1 million somewhere, this is going to come from somewhere, so I should be able to afford it. So it becomes should be more like
lifestyle inflation.
Yes, exactly. But with the monthly system, you can immediately, if somebody tells you a property is 500K monthly, you don't need to carry calculator. You know you're earning 200,000 monthly. So immediately you will tell yourself that I can't afford this. So the yearly system put people in isolation in the dark around what they can afford, right? And on the landlord side, it also fuels greed. It fuels greed. Because when you look at what housing is supposed to be, right, it's supposed to be a channel to earn passive income in other parts of the world. Passive income, not primary income. Even big companies that have huge real estate portfolio is still passive income to their investors, to their shareholders, not their main income, right? But here we've turned it into primary income.
So please, before Tunde Balogun goes, remind me of the landlord story we took some weeks ago. Let's not forget it.
I think it's really all about balance, whereby on landlord side, we're saying what is sustainable, what works. And the funny bit is that landlord can even earn more when they are doing monthly. They can earn more when they are doing monthly. The interesting bit is that in the 6 years that we've been in business, in the monthly space, I've had landlords come to me and say, Tunde, I never thought I would enjoy collecting my rent monthly. I thought that yearly is, because some of them collect this money up front, and before you know it, it's gone.
Let's not even go there.
Yeah, but now they have something to look forward to every month, right? And on tenant side, I think of, I don't want the pressure of monthly and all of that. I think the pressure of yearly is more, because what happened is that because you've paid it 1 year upfront or 2 years upfront, you feel like, I'm at ease. But it's deferred or delayed pressure or whatever, because the kind of pressure you're going to feel at the 9th or 10th or 11th month when the next 1 year rent is due, that is when you know that water pass Gary or Gary pass water.
Today I was going to ask that, how would this government, it's nice when we make policies. The enforceability of these policies is on another level. Landlords will tell you that I'm the one that built my house.
Yes.
I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that did that. And government is trying to put these monthly rental policies in place to prevent maybe things like exploitations of tenants by landlords or landlords by tenants, whatever rocks your boat. But now wouldn't they have this argument that you're not the one that built my house? It's just like this subsidy they've removed. Now marketers are saying, I might be bringing my own fuel from here, so that means it might be more costly than those bringing from here. So I have every right to fix
my price.
So how do we want to find a balance in that? Because in the housing enforcement,
it's possible.
But please don't forget that Lagos State was trying to enforce yearly rent versus 2 years. Till now, there are still people grabbing 2 years.
And now you are moving to monthly.
So I think, again, two sides to this, right? We've moved from 2 years, 3 years, 2 years to 1 year, right? I think the consumer or the tenants they have a role to play. It's a demand market.
Yes.
Demand is more than supply. And any market where demand is higher than supply, then the supplier, they can play any game. That's the reality. But that is where policy and enforcement and government really taking their stand that we are truly government. That is where they're supposed to be focusing their energy, really implementing policies and all of that. But they get distracted with other things as well, as we know, right? So on one side, when you are trying to rent a place and somebody is telling you to pay 2 years when you know that the policy is 1 year, right? I think the government can create almost like a whistleblower kind of structure whereby it will make it easy for those things to be reported, right? And actions are taken on when they are reported, right? There are consequences, right? Because I've met landlords, even in this process of doing rent small and buy small, which are our 2 products, that we want to onboard, and they will tell us that, oh, it's 3 years rent they want. And I'll be like,
then why are you coming to me?
Yeah, I know. So on the second side of the monthly system, I think the way it's going to work is for the government to incentivize the landlord, whereby any landlord that is accepting monthly rent, right? This is what we have in place for you.
Yeah,
1, it could be tax.
Yes.
2, it could be the homes that are available under the Lagos State homes, which is under the Lagos Mortgage Board, right? So Lagos State, so that could be another incentive that if you are collecting monthly rent, it means that we'll prioritize you if you want to buy your second property or third property under Lagos homes, and we'll not even only prioritize you, we'll give you more than the 10 years plan we usually give, or reduce the interest for you. It's possible. Or Lagos have lands everywhere. They could incentivize landlords with lands by saying that because you are collecting monthly rent and you've shown the track record for the last 5 years that you've
consistently done
for
that.
the lands that are available, we'll prioritize. There's just so many ways government can be innovative. I mean, when you think of what we do at SmallSmall, everything we've achieved today is because of how innovative. When we have Buy SmallSmall now that allow people to own homes, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years payment plan, interest-free. And it's because of innovation that we've put in place. And we started
if you put this innovation in government, if they cannot earn, if they cannot, everything is corruption. Because this thing they are saying without interest, who would that interest? Because if you want it to come into government, anything free doesn't seem to appeal to this government. Because I think that it's not about the people. It's also about their coffers and what they can get. Because if you're asking them to do plans, I know this Lagos State housing plans. Yes, I know this Lagos State housing plans that they've put. Trust me, I've only met very few people that say that they won the ballot.
Oh no, I have a family member who won. But Tunde, very quick question, because you talked about your time in the UK paying weekly, and monthly, you get 5 in the abroad. You get 5 days grace period. Next thing you know, your belongings are outside. I hope Lagos State is thinking about all the implementation of that. What happens when people do not pay monthly, do not pay on time? What happens when the grace period is flouted? Are landlords going to be empowered to evict? Very quickly, 30 seconds.
So that's why we believe that Lagos State should not implement this or carry this out by themselves.
Okay.
They should leverage companies like ours that's been in the space for 6 years, and we've done it successfully well because we've identified all the loopholes and we've created solutions to cover those loopholes, right? So it's very possible. If it's not possible, we won't be in business for 6 years, right? We have thousands of tenants that have gone through Rent Small and are still tenants, and we have properties all across Lagos.
Yeah, but how do we do that? I hear you.
There's no time.
Sorry, I hear him.
No, and I wanted to
we are badly behaved. We really are badly behaved. Sometimes you rent a house to people that you ask, Jesus, are you from Mars or Jupiter?
So the monthly policy actually allows easy eviction than yearly.
That's what people want to hear. All right, so it's like we're going to have to continue this because we need to see the full policy from Lagos State and then be able to break it down, how it protects landlords and how it also protects tenants. So we're definitely going to have Tunde Balogun back. He's the CEO of SmallSmall.